we put together a team of Methodist men. It's been about a year and a half ago. Conference was pretty well, not really running in terms of United Methodist Men. And so we put a team together from about 2016 through 2017. We started meeting, started working on what we call a ministry action plan. And so what I want to do tonight is share with you where we are on that plan. And we're using the SLI process, which really helps us define where we are, where we want to go, and then an action plan of how to get there. And there's a lot of similarities in terms of learning to do things a little differently. So we'll go to the next slide. First thing we really did was wanted to say what our mission was, why we exist. Made this presentation Monday night at Bluegrass United Methodist Men District meeting, and it was really interesting. The speaker for the evening, actually it was the devotion for the evening, talked about why United Methodist Men began. What was the whole genesis? What was the reason for United Methodist Men? And it really came down to what he called evangelizing. But it was really, the same thing as taking God's message out to people. It's the same thing as David talks about here on Fresh Expressions. And everybody's looking for ways to reach out, to go outside the walls of the church. But the mission is what it's always been. It's why we exist. The mission never changes. Discover, send Spirit-filled men to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. Quite honestly, it's very, very similar to the conference mission statement, except we talk about men, right? So this is what we basically felt that would be the best, why we exist, the purpose. It really transcends what the purpose has been forever. We could have had 7 different men and they would have came up with maybe something a little different, but the bottom line is it's all about making disciples for the transformation of the world and reaching men. The discover, develop, and send is we're going to have to discover people, men who have a passion for making disciples of other men. And then we're going to have to equip them, whether we equip them with Fresh Expression type reach out, or whether it's small groups with a Watson formula on a class meeting. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to reach out to people. But the reality is, as was said earlier, they're not going to come in our walls. We're going to have to go out. So discover, develop, and send. Next slide, we talk about what our context is. There's nothing new on here. I mean, everybody knows this. We've been talking about it for a long time. The reality is we have to name it, though. We have to name where we are before we can figure out where we want to go and how are we going to get there. The other thing we have to do is give up the whole thing of we got to have charters and it's all about getting charters. The reality is it's not all about getting charters. There's men's ministry going on all over in churches, in every district, in every conference, whether they have a charter or not. It'd be nice, but the goal isn't charters. Our purpose isn't to get charters. Our purpose is to make disciples for the transformation of the world, to reach men, to go outside. So we have 5% active charters. That's a reality. That's the world we live in today. 5% of the 900 churches is roughly 40 charters. So there's not a lot of charters. But that's not the issue from my vantage, from the team's vantage point of setting where we want to go. The mission is to men's ministry, small groups, reaching out, making disciples. Next slide, we wanted to talk about where are we going. I mean, the vision. What's the vision of the church? What's the vision for all of the men's group? It's to become the dynamic disciples of Jesus Christ. Christ to make other disciples for the transformation of the world. Next slide, we talk about what are our values. Regenerative disciple making is, I make a disciple who makes a disciple who makes a disciple who makes another disciple. It's generational. It keeps going, hopefully to the point where you forget, you don't even know how many generations you've made. You don't even know whether you've made a disciple or not sometimes. Those that you build relationships and become very close to, you obviously know. Dynamic spirit-filled leadership, challenging goals and accountability, effective communication platforms, and then mission-oriented, meaning going out. We'll have to go out. So that's what we value. The next slide, we're going to talk about how do we get there. And we can look at it from two different perspectives, and quite honestly, we stole this from the conference. And I've been told I shouldn't use the word steal, because we actually admired it, and then we acquired it. But it goes back to discover, develop, and send, right? And so the Conference United Methodist Men, or the District United Methodist Men, what we want to do is discover spirit-filled men that are dynamic and have a passion. We want to develop them with some type of toolkit, train them, equip them, and then we want to send them to make disciples. And so at the district level, that's what we would want to focus on. At the conference level, we want to help the districts focus on. So then the next thing we need to think about is, I'm going to go to the next slide. There's got to be some action items for the conference and district. What do we want to do? Identify leaders of existing local church men's ministry groups. You notice we didn't say chartered groups. I only have 40 of those. But I guarantee you, we've got a lot of men's ministry groups across a lot of different churches doing men's ministry. We just don't know a lot. So somehow we want to connect with them, identify, and quite honestly, what's working for them? What are they doing that's well? How are they doing? It could be a men's group that meets at McDonald's every Wednesday morning. And it could be a lot of things. Recruit leaders for conference, district, local churches. Launch Men in Ministry initiative, and I'll talk about the initiative a little bit later. Next slide will have some more action items. Establish a leadership development processes. We've been active in the National Association of Conference Presidents, Southeast Jurisdiction, Global Conference of United Methodist Men. They have conferences, and basically what happens, there's really two of them in the year. And for a long time we didn't go. And Kentucky was kind of non-existent. And so I started going about 3 years ago. The reality is I pay my own way. That's just the way it is. So if you got a passion for it, you just do it. Right? You don't worry about it. You just do it. But the advantage of that is what's working in Mississippi, what's working in South Carolina, what didn't work in, name the conference. We all have stuff that didn't work. We don't want to repeat that. Stuff that works, we want to admire and acquire. Right? Launch regional retreats. And you guys have seen some of this. What South Carolina's been doing is they've been getting a church that has a large men's ministry. May not be chartered. Who cares? Get small churches to partner with them. They do a retreat. You do it all together. Okay? You start working together, building resources together. And that's been working well for them. At some point you got to build your financial capacity. I don't think that's not our mission statement. Okay, that's not our purpose. But the reality is at some point you have to do that. But I think, quite honestly, that comes out of everything else. It's like charters. At some point charters are a second thing that just happens. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe the whole chartering system dies in the next 15 years, who knows? We want to talk, we want to communicate. We've got a newsletter we've been sending out. If you're not receiving the newsletter, Ed Kruger, raise your hand, Ed. He is our secretary and our communication guy, and he works with a group, and they put out a newsletter. Okay, and so if you're not getting that, give them your email address tonight. Byron Brewer helps them. He checks it. Byron's out of Georgetown. Edward's out of Junction City. I'm out of Owen County. And then we want to promote spiritual disciplines. I mean, the reality is prayer, Bible study. I mean, the stuff that United Methodist Men, we've been doing that for years. So we've got to have that as well. Next slide. I'm not sure if we go the SIN strategy. That was a developed strategy. This is the SIN strategy. SIN trained leaders in district, local churches, help them launch men's ministry. Identify, promote local church, district, conference, mission opportunities. And we'll go to the next slide. I think the next slide I get into local ministry. So all that stuff above would happen at the conference district level. I mean, you're really discovering, developing, sending men. This is what has to happen, or what would happen at the church level. A concept of what would happen at the church level. I will say this is a draft. This is not finished. If you see stuff, if this interests you, if you want to help us do this, let me know. We take all comers. Bottom line is men reaching men. Got to go out, got to reach people where they are. Same thing that was talked about earlier. Connect with them, build a relationship. Centered around Jesus. The interesting thing, and what my good friend here got me to think about, is you may not get them to come back to the church. And that's okay. If all they want to do is meet and do Bible study at your house, or meet in an accountability group somewhere, you meet them where they are. Maybe 10 years from now they walk in your church door, maybe they never do. But the idea is to reach people for Christ. The other idea is don't make this something new for you. This isn't a project. Tie it into what you like to do that's a part of your life, so you're not adding something to your life. You're just including someone in your life. Okay? Training and equipping men, holding men accountable as dynamic, spirit-filled disciple makers. There's a lot of stuff on class meetings and groups and affinity groups that do things that are fun and get men together initially where they like to build things, or we've been doing that for years too. There's a group that builds ramps and all kinds of things. And that works. It's a good starter way to get people to reach men and to begin to connect with them. And then you've got the ultimate group where you're talking about, where did I see Christ this week, and where did I fail this week, and you hold each other accountable. That's a harder thing to do. It's a much harder thing to do. But ultimately, this thing just keeps going. It doesn't stop. It's an ongoing type of thing. How do we get there? So men reaching men, connecting men with Jesus in the church, training and equipping men, and holding them accountable, and sending them out to make more disciples. And continuous disciple making, regenerative disciple making. I don't remember what I did on the next page. It's the conclusion. We always ask you to pray for us, right? Nothing happens without prayer. We made this whole thing in prayer. As I said, this is a draft. Any plan that's not flexible is a dream. Okay? This plan isn't going to go up on a shelf and catch dust. reflect, adjust, and do, because I know it's going to change. It's going to have to, because the world ain't going to stop changing. Ask God for direction and clarity in your own life, whether it's a fresh expression with men and women, or whether you want to do some type of a class meeting or some type of a small group, or whether you want to work with the team I put together, or where you want to work with Johnny Sebastian in the coming year in Northern Kentucky for district for United Methodist Men. Help other churches see what to do and how to do this. Ask God to ignite the hearts of the men at your church. Pray that happens. Think in your head, who at your church do you see that has a passion for men's ministry, has a passion for making disciples? Maybe they don't know it's men's ministry yet. Maybe they'll go there. Okay? The next thing we're working on in this unfinished product is we call it an Ignite Kit. There's a group of young men's think tank across the Southeast jurisdiction. Each conference president, United Methodist Men in the Southeast jurisdiction, appointed someone to that team. That team's been meeting for a year, and they're developing action items, a kit to how to launch men's ministry. People from South Carolina are working with it. North Georgia Conference. There's about seven young guys that are from age 23, 24 up to about 47. So we're going to see what they come up with. It's supposed to come about here in the fall. I told them in Kentucky we want to sit down with them and look at it and see how we can deploy the Ignite Kit. The Ignite Kit, the whole idea would be, how can a local church launch a men's ministry and reach men outside of the church? So that's the idea. And we're looking to come back here and hopefully present what that kit looks like. And so if you have an interest, have a passion for that,